What's up, guys? Welcome again to Rhythm and Praise, and my name is Josh, and today we're going to be revisiting recording the tamboa. So for those that don't know what the tamboa is simply just a wooden tongue drum, similar to the tongue drums you see online, but more box-like, less dome-like, and not made of metal, made of wood. I did a little bit of a comparison video between mono, or two videos. One was mono, one was stereo in miking techniques. But I'll be honest, I didn't really know much about miking at that point. I was still a novice to recording, and the only thing I recorded were instruments that either A, you kind of just pointed at it like drums, or B, you plug it in like a bass guitar or point it right at the sound source. So something where you were trying to capture everything on the instrument was a little bit new to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I figured out over the last 4 years, and then kind of explain just some tips that I have learned for recording some of these instruments that are a little bit different than the conventional ones where you actually have to record. So without further ado, let's listen to some of these recordings. All right, guys, so those are all the recordings I have for today. I have a few takeaways from what I've learned over the last 4 years. The first being that you do not want to use an internal mic, especially in a phone. Those mics are lower quality, they're designed for your voice, and they're not going to capture the full range of your instrument. And most likely they'll be prone to clipping even at a distance. So you're better off to get an external phone mic or get an external mic you can attach to an audio interface the old-fashioned way. So it will sound much better and you'll thank yourself in the long run. The second thing is kind of the comparisons that I've done in the video. Mono versus stereo, I think is up to your taste. With stereo, I think the reason why I don't always do it is because it takes longer to get the sound right. And it's more prone for things like phase that you don't have to worry about in mono. Mono is great for just adding into a mix, but if you're recording more than one, that's where I would say stereo comes in handy. And if you're recording for it to be front and center, so the tongue drums to be front and center, stereo really helps to capture the entire instrument much better. So it really depends, but you can use either one. Same thing with mic choice. Condenser mics are probably the better choice, especially if you have a good space to record in. But dynamic mics are good if that's all you got, especially if you don't have a good space to record in, which is probably the majority of people. I am working on that, but that is kind of it's kind of what we are tasked with and facing as a lot of musicians out here. So I would say that using a dynamic mic is probably more what you're going to be doing, especially indoors. But condenser mics, if you have the space, sound great too, or if you're wanting to record from a distance. I have a few tips. The first one is pick your space wisely for the reason I just mentioned. But also, if the room sounds good, it might also encourage you and really inspire you to play something better, or what you want to play. So it's important to pick the room right off the bat. That will help your recording sound right off the bat. If you're going to record outdoors, then getting a windscreen, as well as picking a spot that's not so noisy, is very important for the same reasons. Picking your mallets are really going to help with defining the sound of the instrument as well. Your fingers versus hard mallets versus soft mallets, these are going to either make the instrument sound more intimate or like in the background, or more up front, just like the mic position. I tend to, on the wooden drums, use mallets because I'm still learning how to use my fingers and different things. And the rubber ones that came with the instruments that I use tend to be a nice middle ground. So I would suggest those too. But depending on what you want to do, it's your preference. I'd use a resonator as well. It just helps to get the natural sound of the drum pushing back up towards the mic. And that helps especially if you're playing live for an audience. But even when recording, it really helps the sound of the instrument. So it's something to think about. And then finally, pick the distance of your microphone properly. Too close, you're going to cause clipping, and too far away, you're going to start to run into issues where you're picking up the room more than you're picking up your instrument. So depending on what you want, that's something that you should think about before you start recording. So hopefully all these tips and the takeaways will help you when you're recording. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the recordings and what you like, what was your favorite. And also let me know what mic you thought sounded better. But that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.